All right, guys, I have our favorite guest, Terry Saka, back with us today. And if this is your first time, Terry is a YouTube favorite over here on this channel. Everyone loves him, and he has served our followers so beautifully in their silver purchases. He's been our silver guy, and he owns Cornerstone Asset Metals for years, over a decade, since 2014. And so, Terry, we are so happy to have you back. You texted me, you're like, oh my gosh, we've got to talk about this. I'm like, I was just going to text you. So,
Oh my
anyway,
gosh, that's wonderful.
welcome.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure. That's interesting how we track like that because it hit me and I was like, I bet Lauren should, and then here you're thinking about it. That's cool.
Well, because I'll tell you why I started thinking about you because Trump had this plan to go to the Middle East, to Saudi Arabia, actually
Mm,
today. And
right.
I was gonna ask you, I'm like, hey Terry, would you come on the show? I want to talk about things that are going on, but you beat me to it. And we just happened to agree on today, and it's the day he goes to Saudi Arabia.
And he's signing big stuff. I mean, they're
Yeah.
doing massive investment into the United States, and I know there's a deeper plot. You and I could go for hours on this, but like you were talking about that mega city they're building,
Yeah.
all the silver they'll need, and what's going on. I mean, they are strategizing. The Saudis are as smart as Chinese,
Mhm.
where they play both sides. They're very calm and they're not confrontational, even though they're looking out for themselves. They know. And it's just like the Chinese are very friendly, but at the same time, they're looking after their own. And the Saudis are smart that way too.
Yeah. So tell me, we were kind of talking a little bit about something that you found before I hit record, and I was like, the crowd's gonna love this. So go ahead, tell them, like, what are you seeing with your five licenses and your brilliant mind? What do you foresee?
And what, the ratio or overall?
I was thinking about let's start with that ratio. I think that's pretty good.
Well, that's very interesting because the silver gold ratio, meaning how many ounces it takes of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. And what it does is it just tells you where valuation is and what's the better one to hold at the time. And if you go over decades, that's what we were talking about just before the show. If you go over the decades, if you buy silver when the ratio is at a certain point and sell gold, and then when it drops down, you buy gold, sell your silver, you will dramatically compound wealth. And you'll see over the decades how silver went from a few thousand ounces to like 45,000 ounces. Well, right now, the gold silver ratio is over 100 to 1. It's only happened 3 times in the last about 180 years or so. When it gets this high, it's out of whack. Historically, it's 16 to 1. But my colleagues say before this thing's over, and this is just the nature of the commodity side of it, we'll probably see 10 to 1, meaning if gold, which is going to continue to rise, if gold is 5,000 an ounce, that could put silver at 500. Now, I'm definitely comfortable saying silver could see $300 easy. And that's not just me, that's
Wow.
those deep in the supply chain. The demand is ferocious, the supply is not there. But the fact we're at 100 to 1 right now is definitely a time for those that have large gold holdings to sell gold and buy silver. And as that ratio drops down, let's say it just drops into the 30s, that alone will pull silver 75, $80 an ounce. And
Jeez.
it's not even about the amount of profits you're gaining, it's the stability of your asset being preserved in tangible form. Because as we go through this great reset, it's playing out right now. Like the Chinese, this is fascinating, Lauren, dealing with the ratio. They're using serious money, trillions they have in savings, Chinese individuals, and they're buying gold. They're
Hmm.
actually doing it on a monthly plan. The Chinese are extremely crafty and stealthy. They like to play they're your friend. Well, believe me, they do this just to get along, but they're focused on their survival and their own currency. And they know capitalist West, because of the debts and the fiat that we've gone into, we're in trouble. And that's just a fact. The Europeans, the whole Western civilization, really is in a financial deep hole, way, way bigger than I think most people want to realize. It's not just the debt, it's bigger than that. And this ratio is a big signal buy silver at this particular manipulated time, because what will happen is gold maybe goes up $100, but silver, or let's say percentages, let's say gold goes up 3 or 4%, silver could go up 10, 15% in the same day. And so you'll see silver start to make dramatic runs. And I've heard people say, well, this time it's different. They're acquiring gold for a certain reason. Silver is not going to track. That's just not historical. It's just not how it plays out. The money to be, and I say that as in managed money, more sovereign wealth, they know the value of silver. And
Yeah.
this ratio, even though gold is being acquired ferociously by the central banks and the Chinese, they're doing that because gold is the monetary supply. It is the considered equivalent to treasuries and cash. It is the money they're using, but silver is where the value is going to be. So if you're trying to increase the value of your savings, it's going to be in silver, not just as this ratio flips, but then when we get back down, that's a time to go back into gold, because over time, gold's not going away. And
Let
that's
me
this great
do,
reset.
while you're finishing that, let me show them. Guys, I was going to splice this in, but I think Terry is making such a good point. I want you guys to see what he's saying. So,
Oh, this is great.
right before we hit record, we were talking about this chart, and I was like, okay, let me hit record. Terry, tell them. So, this is the ratio that you're talking about.
Yes. And if you notice, like down on the bottom is when you buy gold, down on the top is when you buy silver.
Yeah.
And the ratio is high. And so if you notice the very first one on the left there, you have so many, I can't see, it's about a few thousand ounces of silver. If you bought silver then and wrote it down, and then you sold it and bought gold back near 2000, and then rode that up and then bought silver again, and then keep going, you'll notice that the silver accumulation is 40 some thousand ounces.
Wow.
That is an extreme compound of wealth. It's just a trading cycle. This is more a trader, a commodities, major money manager type of move. And I'm trying to help retail, we the people, understand the beauty of this, because right now, not only are we near that 80 level, as you can see on the right with the big red dot, we're well over 100, which means this is going to break down. And when it does, it'll happen really fast. And that's going to bring such a tremendous opportunity. And then we want to stay in tangible assets. So what we do when this ratio drops is we buy gold after this plays out. And the amount of wealth you're not only preserving, it's just staggering over the next 10, 15 years, what you can protect and preserve.
So, right here, this big red dot that you're talking about, this is the silver. Is this the silver rising, selling it, and then when it gets down here, then switch to gold?
Yes, this is the ratio rising right now. And what that red dot is the ratio we're at today, which is well over 100.
Wow.
That is screaming signals that you sell gold, buy silver. And if you have neither, then you start accumulating silver right now, because
Yes.
silver at the prices they are now is nothing compared to where it's going. And many just don't believe that silver can go to these levels, but they don't understand not just the Great Reset, but the battle for commodities, not just gold, silver, but rare earth minerals and others, gas, oil, you name it. Commodities in general are really huge because the population around the world is exploding. I mean, we're well over 8 billion. We're rising, compounding. The next 10 years, I think we're adding another billion people if we keep going at this rate. Commodities are essential. Now, gold is more monetary, but
Yeah.
silver is needed in everything, not just, monetary side, but you're talking solar panels, computers, electric vehicles, military. Silver is essential. And if people realize the true supply and what was there, they would be getting their hands on as much silver as they can, because it's going to outperform the markets. There's no doubt. And that's a little, something we should get into a little bit on the market side, but it's not happening like people think, or even like I thought. But doesn't mean this is over. Something is wrong. The numbers don't add up here in the stock market, and it makes no sense. The unemployment is extremely high. Biden and during that era lied about all the jobs they said that were happening. They were all foreign born. And when you look at the price to earning ratio, the PE ratios of most of these companies in the stock market, they're way, way out of whack. And that doesn't get into the commercial banking problem, all the debt that has to be refinanced at these high interest rates. It doesn't talk about the 10 trillion plus we have to refinance in US treasuries. The numbers are not adding up. And what's interesting is smart money, and I call it smart money because they're the money managers. They're investing hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. They've been on the sidelines. So here the stock market corrected what 18% and then it rallied back. We're
Yeah.
still down for the year, but the smart money's not in. Now they're starting to trickle in a little bit. Some bears are capitulating, but Warren Buffett still has hundreds of billions in cash on the sidelines. Most smart money is not in the market. They know this is almost like a very large dead cat bounce to some extent. The retail, which is we the people, we're kind of playing off headlines.
Yeah.
But the fundamentals behind the scenes on true growth to the companies, true economic drive, it's not there. And especially in the American economy, people are burned out of savings. We've gone through all of our savings we had from COVID. People are strapped. They have high credit card debt. There is a large unemployment swath taking place. There is a big issue. But on the other side, there's a lot of good news because Trump is doing some amazing stuff. He really is. This new tax plan is going to be unbelievable. There's so much good news coming, but what people need to know is it's going to take a couple few years for it to really materialize.
Oh my gosh. I knew you were going to go here and I just this is why we work so well, guys, because he's got all of the I didn't know he was going to bring that chart today. So, okay. You got to see this. So I brought up, okay, remember when you texted me, Terry, and you were like, we were kind of talking back and forth about the market and stuff, and you were saying, "Hey, look, it's taken me because of the demand of silver. It's taken me about 6 to 8 weeks, to deliver,
Hmm.
large quant because that's the supply. I mean, people are trying to get their hands on these assets, on these metal assets, gold and silver." And I was like, "Wow." And I brought that up at my conference that I had the other week, and people gasps. I was like, "You guys think things are good? It's not. I'm telling you directly from the horse's mouth. This is what I'm hearing." Okay, so you brought out that chart. Silver's about to soar. And if you did take some of your gold earnings and put it into silver, you're about to be a very wealthy person. Because Terry,
Hmm.
okay. So I'm gonna share this with you, and I want to show you something. I know that we often talk about this city of Neom,
Mm.
and I wanted to show you something real quick.
And then he's there in Saudi Arabia
And
right
then
now.
he's there in Saudi Arabia. So I want to show you. And I don't think people have seen this, and I don't think you've seen this either, Terry. So I've got three things I want to show you. I want to show you this clip of what MBS, the Saudi prince, wants to build. Then I
Hmm.
want to show you the article from Fox today about Trump showing up. And then I want to show you guys a live feed that just happened 30 minutes ago. And I'm going to show you what's in the background. All right, Terry, you ready?
Hmm.
Can you see this?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Neom, redefining livability, business, and conservation. A new future. 15 sectors as economic engines, each reinventing their categories. New thinking, new technology, resulting in job creation and economic growth.
Now, this is the new smart city, guys, that MBS wants to run through the entire Sinai Desert. It's actually going to go through the whole path of the Exodus. So, if you want to go over there and see this, the Bible, you better get over there and do it before he runs this smart city through the entire biblical
Mm.
archaeology site. But
Mm.
watch, Terry. So, everything's going to need silver. Look what he's about to build.
A place powered by renewable energy and
Mm.
sustainable water through Neom's energy and water company, Enoa. Our cognitive technology business, Autonomous, is pioneering personalized services, sectors already in market with media production, future-proofed food, and new forms of mobility. City of the future.
That's it right there.
Will adopt human-centric design principles and
Mhm.
predictive AI. A walkable city, an agreeable climate all year round. No cars, no pollution, no urban sprawl. The reimagined industrial city, Oxygen, built at the crossroads of global trade with advanced and clean industries. Our mountain destination, Trojena, Sindala, our luxury island. We are changing the face of tourism through regenerative travel in an unexplored land. 12 luxury destinations across the region of Magna, steeped in natural beauty and advanced technology, championing better international standards in tax, the regulatory environment, and commercial law. Regreening, rewilding, regenerating across land and sea, with 95% of Neom protected for nature. Owned by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund and supported by global partners
Saudi
like
Arabia.
BFV, OneWeb, and Pony AI. Neom is happening now. We are open for business. The purpose is to accelerate human progress. Neom, made to change.
Okay, so come back to me real quick. The point of this, Terry, is this massive smart city we have talked about now 3 or 4 times on this show, and now he's got these marketing ploys. He's invited Trump over. Trillions of dollars are flowing and going to flow into the Middle East. Trump already talked about the $2 trillion deal and the Abraham Accord 2.0 with the Saudi prince. And biblically, when I watched this video, Terry, it screamed the B system. You
Oh, for
have
sure.
this
Yeah.
economic smart city, no cars. There was drones all in the film there. All of this. Did you see the silver that he wants to make the city like an invisible landscape across the? It's like this line all the way across the peninsula. This is going to take metric tons of silver. It is going to take cryptocurrencies and everything to get this online. So what you're saying about not being able to get the silver to the people quickly, it's going to get worse. It's going to get so worse because he's already, him and Trump were talking about today, and I'm going to show you this. Actually, let me go ahead and show you. They're talking about this mineral deal that they want to do and partner together. Here it is right here. And so that's them meeting today. You know, they rolled out the purple carpet because the Saudi prince is royalty. I think this is crazy. Awesome. So biblical and
Spiritual too.
spiritual. It says, as per the agreement, the Defense Department of the U.S. and Saudi Arabia shared a letter of intent to improve the capabilities of the Saudi armed forces. It is understood that energy and mining agreements are also part of this deal. Not only this, Terry, royal palace in the air. I don't know if you heard about that. He
No.
is, oh gosh,
Yes, yes, yes. I know what you're talking about. The airplane.
yes,
Yeah.
the airplane. Now, to me, when I saw this, I was like, "Oh my gosh. They're trying to get so close to Trump and making these deals, Terry, and pushing out President Z, pushing out China. So if the Middle East, Saudi Arabia and Trump, they can make these $2 trillion deals. The MBS is trying to get as close to Trump, giving him all these elaborate gifts, making all these mineral deals. What do they need China for? And I think that's going to provoke China. But in the end, right now, financially, like you're saying, not being able to get supply, they're working on mineral mining deals, new energy, this new smart city. Now, look at this last thing I want to show you. So, live feed, when Trump showed up, I want you to see what is right behind and what Trump is looking at and what him and MBS are talking about. They're talking about the city of Neom. Look at this.
Remember when they met last time when he was president? They put their hand on the orb.
Oh, yes.
So there's way more going on between these two. And it could even go, my guess is it's going to the fact that we have the best military and they want to align with that.
I think so too. Now, look at what is behind. So, this is President Trump and MBS.
The two leaders will walk through the Journey of Transformation Gallery,
Huh.
Vision 2030 Gallery.
2030. This
Wow.
he wants Neom done by 2030.
Wow.
Look at Neom behind President Trump, and you're even going to see it here in just a minute.
Features scale models of some of the kingdom's most iconic future projects, including Prince Mohammed bin Salman Stadium, which will host the world as Saudi Arabia welcomes the FIFA World Cup in 2034.
I want to show you guys Neom is right behind
That's
President's head in just a
an
minute.
iconic future project.
Wonder if Trump even
That's
knows
an
at this
art
level.
I don't think so. I think he's just trying to make the art of the deal, Terry? Like
Yes.
that's his thing. He doesn't
Yes.
know nothing about biblical prophecy.
Not
He
this
doesn't know
level, not this
anything.
depth. He's
And
just, wow, look at that.
yeah, and look at, okay, I want to show you. Neom is right.
Now, the journey brings the distinguished leaders to the Prosperity Hall,
Huh.
celebration of enterprise and partnership. Here we have Saudi and American companies stand side by side, showcasing opportunity and
This
innovation.
is huge.
Huge. Huge. Look, power in a new area, partnerships.
This is prosperity redefined, ladies and gentlemen.
Neom, right there, Neom.
Huh.
So I wanted to show you guys this. This is a big deal. Like this is biblical on top of investment biblical. And what
Mhm.
Terry is saying is absolutely the truth. He's seeing all the number side of it. And Terry, this is why. This is why you're seeing those numbers because the beast system is building.
Mm.
These smart cities will be popping up all over the place, and they are good to a certain extent, but they will be nefarious in the end. So, to use the metals, the silver, the investments to rise, right? To be able to gain as much capital as possible, build the kingdom, right? While we still can, while you can
Mhm.
still get silver, while you can still get these assets, is wisdom. It is being a wise virgin. So, what do you think about that? Like, it's just blowing my mind.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the silver, they have to get the silver out of the hands of anybody holding it. And they're not going to until these prices are a lot higher. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people will sell out at 75 or $100 and they'll look back and go, when it's $300 an ounce, they're going to be, "Gee, I wish I didn't do that." There is a battle for commodities.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And there's no doubt that is the future. That's the United Nations, the smart cities. They talk about what the 15-minute cities. When you look at the lines, like the California fires, and you start looking what's going on, all of this has that smart city kind of thought process in play. And there'll be regions of it. I think places like where I'm at will remain country. They don't care.
Yeah.
But you will see these mega smart cities popping, but they need a massive amount of minerals and resources. Why mining, rare earths,
Yeah.
silver is absolutely essential. Nothing can do what silver does besides gold, and why it will be a lot more money. And they're just holding it down through derivatives. But we have a slight problem, and this is interesting. Basil 3 is kicking in.
Hmm.
Now, it gets complicated, but the bottom line is Basil had set up standards for the banking system. Basel 3 is coming active this July, and basically, Western banks and banks can no longer hold derivatives of these particular metals. So the reason gold and silver have been suppressed on price, even though gold's, $3,500, that's nothing. Silver, especially, is unreasonable because they use derivatives. So they would sell hundreds of ounces of silver on paper for every 1 real ounce in the vault for delivery. But that's changing. Basel 3 is forcing them not to have these type of derivatives.
Wow.
They have to have the true asset wealth. Gold and silver will be liberated. And it's going to become a positive thing because it's going to be backing up stable coins and crypto.
Yeah.
But this is why the ratio is probably going to see 10 to 1. And it's not me saying it. Some of the guys that, have been doing this decades, even longer than myself, they all say the same thing. We will not be surprised before this is over. It's 10 to 1 on the ratio because they've changed it. Right now, the banking system, the reserves, they used to have a certain amount of reserves. They lowered that reserve cap because they need the banks to have the liquidity. It's extremely low, which is very dangerous. That's why countries are acquiring so much gold because the supply is tight. But they need it because it's the monetary system for the future. and it's part of the stablecoin backing on a lot of the digital currencies.
Yeah.
And then for the Chinese, it's all about the return on their investments. It's about savings. And so that's why the Chinese people are setting up monthly buying programs.
Wow.
They're literally, they have like $2.5 trillion in savings that are moving towards gold and other tangible assets. Are we doing that in America? No. Most retail, they're piling, they're the ones supporting the stock market. They're piling in.
Yeah.
And so as this is being developed behind, I mean, not even behind the scenes, look at how huge that is. Were there American media covering it to that level? No.
No.
They're not showing you what's coming. I mean, America is going to be so far behind the world if we do not catch up to this thinking,
I mean,
and
look,
why this crypto is going to be so
well,
important.
yeah,
Part
I
of it.
mean, just look you're totally right. We're so behind. We're already behind. I was
We're
looking
so
at
behind.
Trump walking through Saudi's palace and everything that the Saudi, because the money, right, over there, the oil and the
Mm,
gold and the silver, not fiat, they are literally wealthy. And
real
he's
wealth.
building this futuristic city way beyond our time, but he's doing it. And we are so behind. And it's like, you're right. This great reset, because we are going to go through a reset. I believe you're absolutely right. It'll be a digital system backed by the metal assets. So
Mhm.
backed by gold, silver, the rare earth minerals. It's going to be backed by that.
No
So if
doubt.
you do have a foundation in these rare earth minerals, like Terry was saying, and you are forced to use the digital system, then you're going to be good if you have that foundation and when wealth in what holds up the digital system, along with also having the digital assets. But yes, America is behind. It's crystal
And
clear.
showing, and for him to show the Neom and what they just did, this is all part, like you're saying, this is the Great Reset.
Yeah,
Like it, people have heard about it. They've been YouTubing all about it. Everyone's, oh, it's fearful. It's this. It's all of the narratives are extreme.
yeah,
The dollar is not collapsing. The Great Reset's happening right now as we're speaking.
right now.
Trump just said the other day, we're going to do a full reset.
Yes.
Got to read between the lines.
Why do you think he's going to the most wealthiest nations in the world, which would be what? The Saudis, the Middle East, where the oil is.
Mhm,
He didn't go to China. He didn't go to Iraq or Iran. He went to Saudi Arabia. This
mhm.
is where the money is going to flow into, and he's making these deals because that's what this man does. He makes deals, art of the deal, because he's trying to do what's best for the Americans. He's trying to make these deals because he knows we're broke, Terry. Don't you think? He knows America.
Oh, yeah,
He knows we're
absolutely.
behind. So where is he
Not
going to
only
go?
are we broke, I mean, we're in more debt than any nation in the
Yes.
history of the world, but yet there's so much wealth. We're talking quadrillion, 999 trillion
Yes.
that can go into tokenization. When we go into this crypto cross-border system, tens of trillions will be coming. Well, right now, I think this cycle, we will see trillions coming into the crypto market very, very soon.
Yeah.
The dollar is definitely falling apart. There's no doubt. And now it's not going to zero. It's not this big economic collapse, but we are now being marginalized. I know it's hard to believe, but the world says otherwise. Gold says otherwise. And we're not a unipolar world where the United States and SWIFT payment systems controlled it.
Yeah.
We are a true multipolar world where there's multiple currencies coming into play. BRICS is just a factor. Gold is a major player. The
Huge.
US dollar is no longer supreme. And the stable coins are going to be a factor into this. And so, what's interesting about Neom and all these investments, not only will silver literally, we could do comparisons sometime, but if you look at silver, how many ounces of silver it takes to buy a house, you will be stunned in the future how just a handful of silver can buy a house. That's how valuable this is going to be. But stable coins and the crypto revolution that's coming during this reset, this cross-border payment, tokenization into a quadrillion of assets, that will create unbelievable wealth for the Middle East, for the United States, for those,
Yes.
especially if we lead it. And that provides the liquidity and resource to completely build Neom with nothing. It'll be a tip
Right.
compared to the wealth they're creating. So they're setting up, and that's why I believe Trump even said we're coming to a new golden age. If they can get some of these rhinos out of the way in focus, we become the crypto capital of the world. We keep the dollar through our stable coin front and center, but the cryptos the wealth that'll come from them will
Especially when they
create.
back it with gold and silver. Like that's what I believe Trump
There's no
is.
doubt. There's no doubt gold is the major player. Silver's going to run because it's going to be scramble for the natural resource because all of the AI, robotics, computers, the military, you name it, all need silver.
Yeah.
The wealth will be extraordinary, and they know the prices will have to rise just to not only push for more mining, which is we're hurting. I mean, we have to open pit mine just to get silver.
Wow.
So we need to find it, but get it out of the hands of those holding it. There is so much wealth that's coming. And if we do it right, the trillions that are going to come into the United States, millions upon millions of jobs that'll be created. I mean, there is a lot of good news, but at the same time, it's revolutionary change. And this is probably part of that fourth turning that I kind of discussed and others who talked about. We're at this 80-year cycle where dramatic change takes place. If you go back 80 years in our history, look at all the amazing changes that took place. We're going through it again right now at the heels of this full reset. And that's why owning the right assets. Many will dabble in the stock market. They think they're doing great.
Mhm.
Yes, inflation is being tampered. Absolutely. They're doing a good job of helping us, but you're talking about pennies compared to what will be generated through the tangible assets.
Honey, it just makes me laugh. It's yes, you're talking about pennies. I'm watching
Yes.
like you're watching the wealth being sucked out of the United States and going that way to the Middle East. And I'm watching the wealth and how wealthy they are. And I'm thinking to myself, why are we not doing what they're doing? Buy the minerals, buy the digital. They're going in a way America is not. And like you're saying, in people's retirements and if they're holding on to this system and they're literally making pennies. It's like, why? Why are you okay with this? Uh, so you deal with this all the time. Like for the new ones here, what do you tell the ones who have all their wealth and they're just making the pennies and they just don't want Terry, they just like death gripping it. Like they're scared. They don't want to let it go. Like
Yeah.
how do you coach people into rolling these things over?
It's very difficult because you are dealing with fear, which, by the way, if you're a Christian, I did not give you spirit of fear, but power, which is dunamis, love, sound mind. And it's difficult. Some people have been hanging on to cash for years. And I'm trying to tell them through inflation, you've lost hundreds of thousands in buying power. Going forward, the inflation has slowed down,
Mhm.
but we will be printing trillions as we're trying to create this wealth. Gold and silver will continue to rise and they will dramatically outperform. Now, there will be some individual stocks that can do well, but overall, you will see gold and silver outperform the stock market. And the best part, it's not in the system. Don't think that this great taking is not on the table yet. There's still there the banking system in the West is so fragile. The hundreds of billions in commercial loans that need to be refinanced. Our system, the reserves being lowered, our system banking wise is not stable. And you have trillions upon trillions. They have leverage. The only reason this market's doing what it's doing, instead of in 2008 it was the basically commercial lenders, commercial bankers. Now they've put it into shadow banking and hedge funds. So the shadow banks and the hedge funds, they're not regulated the same as the banking system is, so they're able to kind of hide and maneuver money differently. They are leveraged 100 to 1. We are talking a financial system that is so leveraged, one thing goes wrong, the whole system implodes, and your stocks, your bonds, your cash in the bank is collateral
Mhm.
to the debt of this system. But 100 to 1 leverage, we would need mega trillions in bailout of these hedge funds, because when you think, oh, well, that's a hedge fund, they can take the risk if they go out fine, or the shadow banks, that's their problem. No, because the big banks and the commercial banks are actually backing up the hedge funds and the shadow banks. So what they've done is taken it from front and center, kind of put it in the shadow, hence the shadow banking. They're now bypassing the regulation, and we are more leveraged and more stretched financially in the West than any time in history. It is the most unbelievably unbalanced financial system I've ever seen, and why it's on the teeter of a complete implosion. Probably why Buffett is sitting in hundreds of billions in cash.
Cash.
And now they're playing the markets, these traders. Some of them may be dabbling in because of this rally. But the market just not because, oh, the dollar's collapsing. It's because it needs to clean. The stock market needs to come down to 32,000 or lower just to clean up, to get the PE ratios more reasonable. You can't have the price to your earnings so whacked out. It's just unrealistic. If they lose 1 inch of that 100 to 1 leverage, we are talking a meltdown, and it's literally at any moment. But at the same time, you can see why Saudi Arabia and Trump masterfully knows we are this close.
Yeah.
And so we better make radical
Partnerships.
reset changes, partnerships, get the digital realm started,
Yeah.
go into this new, because the new smart city will give us almost like a drive as I don't know, industrial revolution
Yeah.
type of thinking, where all of a sudden we have all of this thing to put money into. It's like the space, race. Oh,
Yeah.
it gives us a mission kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where America, our cities are
Oh
dilapidated.
my gosh.
The middle class is disappearing. I mean, we're in trouble as
I'm looking
Americans.
at Saudi Arabia and places like Qatar, and I'm looking at some of our cities, and I'm like, we are like in the 1970s still. And
It's a good point.
right, like all over the
Yes.
US, and like you go over
Yes.
to the Middle East, and they're thriving, just dripping, Terry, in
Yeah.
wealth, and I'm furious.
Yes.
Like,
Well, and
they believe in a
know.
false god, and yet they're more loyal to that god and being prospered than the Americans here to
And
ours.
God has made it clear the gold is mine, the silver is mine. Hey, guy 28. I mean, come on. The thing is, what's happening now, the fiat system is in trouble. And when the fiat system goes and that dollar is going to lose a lot of value, they will have to. Trump wants those rates lowered.
Yeah.
He likes a low dollar because he knows it'll increase our exports. They know Basil 3 is the real deal. And when they force these banks to stop doing these fake derivative investment bets, you're going to see a rebalancing in valuation. Why the Chinese and others are buying so much gold, silver, and rare earths and investing in commodities. They know none of this gets done if you don't have the commodities to do it. That's why that minerals deal in Ukraine was a brilliant move. And my guess, he works out with Russia. Listen, here's the deal. You're going to control this region, which most of those minerals are actually in the Russian controlled territory, but he's going to work it out. Listen, let's end this war. You're going to control the territory, but let's make a deal where you sell us the minerals.
Yes.
And then he's working out mining deals with Saudi. So they know behind the scenes, we have got to set a new foundation for a fourth turning new world order that is taking place.
Yeah.
And if those in America, like us retail people, if we see what they're truly doing and properly position ourselves, the amount of wealth that comes to us instead of away from us is extraordinary.
Yeah, it takes strategy. It's going to take strategy,
Yeah.
just like you said, and knowing the times and seasons that you're in, and seeing when we're showing you guys this, that it's going into your eyeballs and you're chewing on it like a cow chews cud, and you're thinking to yourself, "Oh, I probably need to read my Bible, understand this more. Let me heed this warning. Maybe go pray about it." So
Yeah, because Lauren, it's not about too many companies are trying to say this. Those big gold companies are such a ripoff. Just stay away from them. You get as many ounces as you can. That's why Cornerstone Asset Metals is such a good company, because we're on a more of a mission, from God's perspective when he said, "Get my people ready," than we are about making money. But It's not about, oh, the world's collapsing, the dollar's collapsing, get gold, silver. That is like the first inning of a baseball game.
Yeah, it's like a
We are
fraction of
talking
the
about
point.
it is so small of an argument. The bigger picture of what's taking place in the transformation of the whole system, AI, robotics, Neom,
Mhm.
the crypto, the digital money, all needing to be backed up with a lot of these assets. Why gold will be so important, but yet gold will go up 10%, silver will go up 80%. So that's why silver is the more valuable asset. You've got to see the bigger picture because that is planning. And then here's the good news, all of this other stuff is paper. The cash in the bank, the stocks, it's paper, and you don't own it. You're an unsecured creditor. Having physical wealth that will be outperforming over these years outside the system, even in your IRA, it's outside the system. You're not attached in case there is that collapse.
Yeah.
If those hedge funds and shadow banks do end up collapsing the system, you're not part of it. You're not getting confiscated like the stocks, bonds, and cash will. It's just we've got to see well beyond the sound bite of YouTube and know that the planners will be those that have the wealth. And I think that silver gold ratio chart that you showed says it all.
It
It
was
shows
big.
how if you bought silver here and then sold and bought gold here and you stagger over the years,
Yeah.
how much more silver you accumulated, which is AK wealth. And why I believe down the road, you'll be amazed at how much 1,000 ounces of silver buys. Before you know it, 1,000 ounces easily will be buying a house.
Oh, wow.
And it's just something people don't see, but yet it's been through all history. Gold, same thing. I mean, if you think of gold back in the day, 1 ounce of gold bought the Romans, their toga, their
Mhm.
sandals, the whole works, right? And today, 1 ounce of gold, if you were to sell it, would buy a really nice custom suit, the shoes, the belt, the works. And believe me, a custom suit does run about 3 grand. So,
Yep.
when you put the shoes in, because even the shoes, I'm talking hot top notch. So it never really lost value. It just maintained the buying power where that dollar bill you're holding is losing so much value. And yes, inflation is getting better. Yes, Trump is doing a lot of good things.
Yeah. He's
This
just
tax
delaying it. It's just a delay.
it's a delay, and the tax plan is brilliant if they can do it where no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime pay. That'll lock down a whole generation of people for the Republicans if they can do it. But that's a band-aid of opportunity compared to what's coming. We need to take all of that money that's coming into our family, additional money, and start putting it into the right place. Hard tangible assets like silver, going into certain cryptos and holding for long term. You will be amazed what that turns into over the next handful of years.
All right. Well, say someone is stuck. I don't know the process, guys, because I never had a 401k or retirement. I always chose out. I knew very early that it was a scam. That it's a totally different episode, okay? But for the ones who are stuck, Terry, and they cannot get out, maybe the pension thing, maybe the 401k, like what would be the very first step to call you and you guys just take them through the whole process? Like, can anybody get out? Have you ever had someone not be able to get out? Like, what would be their first step?
Yeah, some people can't if it's a 401k because their company won't let them. Most companies, if you're fully vested, will do it. If they don't, that's not cool. The only way you could do it is to leave your job and get another job. I've had people actually do that
Oh, wow.
just to get a hold of their 401k to get it out. But because the market has come back, we're still down for the year, but because we've retraced at least 15% of that loss, what a great opportunity to take advantage of getting out
Hmm.
of the system, diversifying into tangible assets, especially silver with this ratio at 100 to 1. You can't go wrong. And that way you're not taking much of a loss. But all I know is smart money, sovereign wealth, Warren Buffett, they're all still on the sidelines. And you have to ask yourself why.
Hi.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So the first step would be to call Terry and his team. And I have never, ever, ever, guys, had someone tell me that they did not love the process with Terry and his team. I've heard the opposite. They were wonderful. It was easy. Every step of the way, they were calling me, telling me this has happened, or we filed this, or they said 3 days, or we received this, oh, we've just rolled over this. Like every step. So if you guys are curious and you're stuck on how to get out, I'm telling you, if you call them, they'll get you unstuck. They do this every day, all week long, and I've never had an angry customer tell to me, I don't know about you guys. I don't think so because you guys do it with such excellence. So that would be a good place to start. And if you
It
want
gets
to
once in a
try
while,
it,
Lauren, it does happen, because people have an expectation or a misunderstanding of certain things, but we always resolve everything.
yeah.
And it's important to know right now, I'm surprised, but the mints are behind. There
Oh yeah,
is
talk about that. I forgot to ask you.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't get it, but it's taken some time. And now when the mint is behind like this, that means there's large orders in. We're
Wow.
talking hundreds of thousands of ounces being, minted into. But I'm surprised at delays. And all I know is when we've had delays like this in the past, the premiums will shoot up. So right now, it's still pretty reasonable on the premium to buy silver, but I can see it coming where that premium is going to shoot up.
What would be
Something
a high premium? Like what would we expect?
40%.
Oh my gosh.
It happened. It happened just a handful of years ago. It was like a 40% premium on the Eagles. It's all supply and demand. And if you want your hands on it, it's because the real value of that ounce is with that premium on it. It's not what the futures market tells you on the computer. Oh, this is the price of an ounce of silver. No, that's a futures contract paper price. That's not refining it, minting it, shipping, securing, storing. There is so much that goes into it. But right now, we're not at those levels. But if it continues with this kind of backlog, you will see these prices rise. And then, of course, following behind that, you're going to see a rally. When the money starts coming in, once people recognize that the stock market is definitely going through its cycle down, retail gets out, we will see billions move towards the physical, tangible market because it's just part of shifting. We are in a commodity super cycle. As people recognize that and the money shifts, those prices will move quickly and silver will hit 50 before you know it. 50 will be a battle, but once it breaks 50, there are no more sellers. And why I can see 75 to 100 pretty quick. I will not be surprised. Like I said, we're getting close. 150, 300 silver is not unreasonable at all. It's true price discovery. And I think this Basil 3 is going to help that along.
Wow. So you're saying 40% premiums when it gets that high. So what he's saying, guys, like if it gets 50, 60 over 100, that means if it's a 40% premium, so yeah, silver's $100 an ounce, but you're going to pay 140 for it.
You
Like
could, and yeah, you
what?
could. And these big gold companies, some of them people don't know because they use a fancy story, but they'll
Yeah.
charge 80, 90% premiums.
And the customer will never know.
The
That's
customers never know. I hear
yeah.
people, oh yeah, we're happy. I'm like, yeah, you just bought 400 ounces when you could have bought 1,000.
Jeez.
Sorry that you think you're happy, but you have no idea how you just got gouged. But that's not necessary. I don't know if we ever go that route. It all is supply and demand. All I
Yeah.
know is the backup is interesting. And it's not retail. Like I think the people are a little burned out. Gold, silver, gold, silver. They just keep seeing there's a million commercials. They just keep hearing it. They're a little burned out on the idea. That's not the case for the institutions, the sovereign wealth. You know what I mean? They are buying up.
That's not
There
the
is a
case for MBS, Saudi Prince. That's not
no, exactly. And I think that's part of the narrative in the news is they don't want you, we the people, to know that this asset is that valuable. They're trying to acquire as much physical as they can get their hands on while the price is low. I mean, even gold at $3,400 an ounce, yet they can't get their hands on it. There is so much gold moving around. The Chinese people have trillions they want to put into gold. There is a battle for these metals, and they don't want you knowing it. They want you to keep your money in that market, making nothing because right now it's still negative for the year, yet gold and silver are up. They don't want you knowing this because if you do, you will benefit and take that supply away from them.
That's right. I mean, why would they want you to take the supply that that MBS, for example, so desperately needs to build his smart city? I mean, if the
Hmm.
whole world woke up and started buying little bits at the time with the little pauper money that we all have because we're retail, we're not trillionaires like him, then he wouldn't have enough supply to build his smart cities and have
That's right.
absolute control and dominance, which is what these smart cities are. It is a way to control the people by distracting them with convenience. And you were saying, you made a good point, and I had a vision real quick, and I'll wrap this up. I know it's getting long, but you were saying, yeah, the smart cities are popping up. There will still be places, rural places where people have land. But I'm telling you guys, the people that have the land in the rural areas that won't be in the smart cities, their asset of land is going to be so priceless that the average person's not going to be able to afford it. And guess what?
Yeah.
It won't be for sale. So
Yeah.
it's like you can choose now to get these metal assets and watch them, like Terry was saying, go over $1,000 an ounce, buy up the rural areas, like a lot of us have done, and that way you're good. I mean, you don't have to,
You'd be amazed how much money is moving into ranch land
yeah.
and farmland. And a little side note, which I found interesting, is Warren Buffett. I don't know if many people caught this. I mean, he's retiring, but he came out and said that it's time. There's going to be, and this is almost a direct quote, but there's going to be some event, and I think he knows it, but he's just not saying it. There's going to be some event in the United States where you're going to want to own other currencies.
Hmm.
Interesting, he's saying that, meaning don't be owning the dollar. You want to own other currencies, but it's not fiat currencies
Yeah.
he's talking about.
No.
It's the digital stuff.
Mhm.
And I think that's very, very foretelling that he is saying that because he knows that's why he's sitting in hundreds of billions. But if he's telling you to own other currencies, he knows America is getting ready to go through something. And most retail that I see right now, they are going to take a big hit if they don't heed the warning.
So, yeah, this is y'all's warning, guys. So, if you guys want to get in contact with Terry, I have such a great relationship with him and the team. Their contact is always in every description of my video and Facebook, because they've helped so many people, and who I use to buy my own stash. Shaun and I go through Terry. So, Terry, thank you so much. I love it when we talk because everything just gels.
It
I just
does.
couldn't believe. I was like, oh, he's talking about this, and I wanted to show him this and the prophecy and then the logistics of it. Boom, it meshed.
You know, it's funny because we don't really plan. Like
No.
we'll chat from here and there. If we see something in the feed and we're both curious about it, we may, text say, "Hey, did you see this?"
Did you see this?
But
Yeah.
what's interesting is all of a sudden we both just wake up and go, "We need to talk,"
Yeah. Yeah.
and it just happens simultaneously. So I think that's awesome because there's some good prophetic people out there. Some of them get it. A lot of the church is still head in the sand though, and they really need to understand this bigger picture is your opportunity of a lifetime. What side of the fence are you going to be on?
Yeah. Amen. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much, Terry. And I can't wait to talk to you in the next few weeks because there's no telling what would change just in the next few weeks. So,
Oh, there's no doubt. Well, God
ah,
bless you, Lauren. My best to Shaun and everyone there.
all right. Tell your wife and kids I said hello. We love you guys, and y'all take care.
Thank you.